edition of the OH.Report video podcast for 2026. That's right, new year, new me, new Browns, new shirt. This has been in the closet for a while, baby, but the Victory Monday tee is finally out of its cage. 2 wins in a row, actually, for the Browns to close out the regular season. When was the last time we've seen that? It has been quite a while, and it's been a while since we've actually fired a coach, but we accomplished that today as well. So no more Kevin Stefanski. He is out of town. We're going to talk all about that coming up here to start the show. My name is Brian Skronsky. Of course, I am the host here on the OH.Report video podcast, but I am far from alone. A couple of Steelers fans hanging out here and excited to get back into the swing of things after the holiday break. I spent some time out west, or at least I call it out west. We're going to debate that too. Colorado, Mountain Time Zone, is that typically the West? Are we in the Midwest? I don't really know. We'll leave that up to you and geography to decide. But guys, a lot to talk about here. And both of you, I'm surprised that you're actually in the building today. Kind of heart attack alley last night for Sunday Night Football. But your Steelers, they get it done, man.
Hey,
congratulations.
Yeah, new year, new us, new AFC North champions after a missed field goal by Tyler Loop from Baltimore. So.
Wow. New us, it's the same us. Every single
Every
Steelers game has to come down to the end. We can't just win one going away, can we? But we did. We're in the playoffs, and one Cade Stover and his Texans are coming in next Monday night in the wild card round. First playoff home game in quite some time, but the biggest thing, Steelers have 24 straight Monday night football victories at home, going back to 1991. That's going to be on the line, but we have a 6-game playoff losing streak, so something's got to give.
Yes.
Something's got to give next Monday night.
And I love that you get the Texans. They've been playing at home in the playoffs so far since they've had this nice run going, and the nice family affair. Of course, Captain Jack dating a local girl who also has a guy that's going to be playing on the opposite team in Cade. So we'll talk about that matchup coming up here in a bit, Steelers versus Texans. But more from the AFC North coming here soon. We'll break down the Browns' awesome win at Cincinnati to close out their regular season, plus the playoffs, of course, for Pittsburgh. Ohio State goes from number 1 all year to 1 and done in the college football playoff. Did they get burned by the long layoff? A lot of people are talking about that. Look at the numbers. They don't lie. What are teams won for when they've got the bye so far since the CFP went to the 12-team format? Plus, 2025 is now behind us, so we're going to determine who we think was kind of the big winners and losers so far at kind of the midway point of the season for our high school girls and boys basketball teams, and we'll have an outlook for who we think will have the best runs moving forward here as we turn the page into 2026. And we'll also take a look at that U.S. map and determine where the hell are we? Is this actually the Midwest? I've always thought so. Maybe some other panelists here don't. And the internet certainly feels like it's kind of fringe. And then my home state, too. So the 2 places that I'm from, I'm like right on the outskirts of what the Midwest is considered to be. So let the debate begin out there in the comments section of where the heck you're actually watching from if you are in Ohio tonight. Plus, we're going to close also with a soliloquy from Travis, so I cannot wait to hear what he has to say.
I have things on my mind that need to get off my chest over the last week that I have had days off. I've watched some basketball games, watched some things happen, and I've got a lot to say to not only the fans, but some of us media as well as we try and reset here for 2026.
That's right. And speaking of reset, me and Jonathan did not know this. We did not plan this. We have the exact same New Year's resolution. And we're going to share it.
Yeah, we are. Are we sharing it now?
No, at the end.
We'll wait.
I guess we got a tease. You're right.
Little teaser right there. But let's start with the new sheriff is going to be running Browns training camp when we actually get there in the summer. After 6 seasons, Kevin Stefanski out now as the Browns head coach. And that coming on the heels of back-to-back wins, something they haven't done in Cleveland in like 45 tries. So it's been a long wait for us to finally have that taste of Monday morning victory, 2 consecutive weeks, but that's the decision that the owners, the Haslams, have made, and Andrew Berry gets to keep his job, which I think is the most interesting factor to most because they overlapped. They came in the same year and have basically been linked, so I think most thought that if Kevin Stefanski was going to leave, Andrew Berry was going to be out of town. So before I give more than my 2 cents, let's hear from the Pittsburgh side of things. What was your first thoughts and impressions when you heard Kevin was the first to be eliminated on Black Monday?
I could see it coming. Just from what was going on the last, 45 and 63 or something like that in his record.
Pretty close.
But I think the last draft class saved Andrew Berry. I mean, the studs that you guys were able to get kind of probably, I'm guessing that saved them with 2 first-round picks you guys are going to get coming up this draft in Pittsburgh, by the way.
Correct.
I think they're giving him another shot because of just how successful he was with the draft. In saying that, all these young players, it's time for a change, fresh look, fresh all around with the head coaching staff as well. So, I mean, it makes sense. Browns, and it makes sense. That's not said a lot, but I think it makes sense. And then you have the now single-season all-time sacks leader in Myles Garrett leading the defense. Now let's see if Mr. Berry can build around him and see if the Browns, is it nothing but up now, or is it same old Browns?
And
I don't
echo
know.
what you say about Andrew Berry and his job being saved by that draft. It was a fantastic draft. I mean, I really like Carson Schlesinger. He's very good as a linebacker, even though in that game against the Steelers, I remember him getting hobbled up a little bit.
He still
stayed
played
out
hurt.
there. Yeah, got to give
Gutted
credit
it
to
out.
him. He gutted it out, and Browns ended up winning that game. But I just think Stefanski, just from the Browns fan friends that I have, outside of Brian, of course, a lot of them have been saying for the last, I'd say, 3-4 years, let's just give Stefanski one more year. That's the narrative that I've heard as a Steelers fan. And it just seems like they've had enough of that, and now we're moving on to a different option. And there are going to be a couple of nice options in the pool of coaches, the coaching carousel of the NFL, you may say, a term that you like to use for college football. But there are a lot of good options out there, and I know Brian has his eyes on very specific coaches as well. But I'm
that I
excited
do.
to see.
I actually got to watch Jimmy Haslam live when he came to the podium today, and he explained his choice to both let Kevin go, which sounds like it was more mutual than anything, which was kind of a relief to me that Kevin wasn't wanting to hang on to the job necessarily and was told that he cannot continue. It seems like both sides decided it's time for the fresh paint, as you kind of said out there. So there are plenty of people out there, including the head of the Fired Football Coaches Association, Mr. John Gruden, who's in his basement right now breaking down some Browns film. I guarantee you he wants to be able to have an opportunity to have Carson Schlesinger out there, baby. And look at the quarterback and all those young players that they have. And that really did save Andrew Berry in his job, unquestionably. And Mr. Haslam said that, and also liked the picks that he was able to both accumulate, plus a couple of slick moves that he made right before the season, bringing in Malik Collins, and then also getting Tyson Campbell during the season, and felt like, and he said this 8 times, I counted, that they're looking for both good players and good people. So it does feel as though we've got some nice dudes right now in the locker room, but those nice dudes had a lot of great things to say about Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
And the biggest surprise to me is the fact that they did end it on a high note. Didn't look great the last 2 weeks. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything, but wins are wins, and especially in Cleveland, we'll take them any which way that we can get them. And they close it out. They have some milestones. Everybody's coming together, and the camaraderie that I saw with this team did not look like one that is ready to let their head coach walk out the door. That being said, with the offseason coming up right now for the Browns and everyone clearing out their lockers, it might be kind of a good idea for both men to part ways, and that being the owners and that being Kevin Stefanski. So I do see this being of great value to both, because Andrew Berry did save his job with the great draft class and that paying off in those picks, because you look at what they did with the quarterback situation, and this was all Berry before the year. Joe Flacco's our starter, and then we're going with Kenny Pickett's going to back him up, and then we've got 2 rookies, which never makes any sense, that we're going to try to groom. Then all of a sudden it's week 1, Kenny Pickett's out the door, the rookies have had no opportunities whatsoever, and then in week 3 we're going to get rid of Flacco, and then we bring in the rookies. It was an absolute mess and a disaster, and that's why we started the season that we did. Finally figured it out towards the end. We got some pieces in there that I think we're very comfortable moving forward with. Our 13th coach in 27 seasons since 99. That's kind of hard to really digest what that really means, but it needs to be a good one because we've got an all-time great. And Travis, you mentioned it. Myles Garrett yesterday. I was at the Cavs game when he got the milestone and they brought it up on the big screen, and the amount of people in attendance that had on the number 95s and the applause that rung through, it was bigger than anything that Donovan Mitchell did yesterday, even though we lost the game, and then anything that I've seen from a Cavs player. He's very well loved, but they got to get some better pieces around him on defense, even though it's a good defense. And with Jim Schwartz running the show, that also is an intriguing option that I think that they're going to weigh and consider. Could we just elevate him
And shout out, by the way, to Joe Burrow for just taking the sack.
For Brett Favre it? For Brett Favre, he's like, I'm not going to.
Because Aaron Rodgers the previous week, they were triple teaming him every play to make sure
that's why we lost, but it don't matter. We still won this week. But still, yes, that's exact. Like, he knew that Garrett was going to get. He's like, I'm just white flag.
It's yours.
It's yours. You got it. Don't hurt me, please,
quick thoughts
sir.
from you guys, because I heard Cincinnati's coaching staff speak on this, and then I also heard a couple of Bengals players who were on offense. Jamar Chase really stands out.
Oh, that was
who said that they were not told that they were going to stop the game for the 1-minute ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
And they were very, number one, offended, and then second, pissed off that they weren't able to run no huddle in that situation. What's your guys' thoughts on them? Because they were defiant at the podium yesterday and saying that it was trash what the officials did.
Go back to Monday Night Football a few years ago in New Orleans when Drew Brees passed the all-time passing mark on a touchdown, and they let him come out. They brought out a darn podium pretty much for him to speak with, the fans, to his family and everything like that on national television. It's a once in, I'm not say generation, but it's once in at least a decade moment. I mean, you can celebrate for it. The Bengals, you ain't got nothing to play for. Jamar Chase, you ain't done nothing in the last, 6 weeks? Anything like that? Like, just stop. Yeah, your rival got it on your own field. Let them have it. Walk away with it. I know you're bummed out because you guys suck this year. That's it. That's why they're frustrated and they try and take it out on their rival. But hey, he got the sack record. They were able to do it. I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
And what I just acknowledged about Joe Burrow taking the sack, it's like he took the sack knowing that that's the record, and who knows what else was going to happen after that, because of course they made a big deal out of it, as they should. It's a very good record, and for a team that didn't have too many wins on the board in Cleveland, they had to take something away from this season. And Myles Garrett, shout out to him. I wish we had a edge rusher like that right now, because TJ's been struggling a little bit.
Hey, he did have a big pick though.
He did.
Cam Hayward. Don't talk about TJ Watt. Talk about Cam. We'll talk about him with the Steelers thing. But the finish things off with the Browns. Stefanski, I think it was mutual and everybody's happy because he's now the top free agent pretty much coaching. That's all I heard yesterday and this morning on NFL Network is he's the top candidate for these open positions. I don't think he's going to be on the free agent market for too long.
Well, and to let you know a little bit of insight to that, I heard Jay Glazer talk about this, and it's a rule that I was not aware of until today. The fact that he can meet in person, the fact that he's been relieved of his duties and he no longer has an allegiance to the Browns. Everybody else that is still under contracts can only do Zoom meetings, and then they're limited to a certain amount of time. Whereas they can fly Kevin in, they can have dinner, they can keep him around for the weekend, and he's going to charm some people. He's a really smart football mind and a coach that I wish
two-time
we
coach
were
of the year
keeping for one more year. So. He's going to get a job probably within the next couple of weeks, and I do wish Kevin well. But a quick question to you guys about Myles Garrett, because keep in mind that the Browns are just a 4-win team this season. Is he the defensive player of the year in your mind with the 23 sacks? And when you look at the number of plays that he was actually on the field, did it in like 200 fewer snaps than TJ Watt did when he set the record, and then like 150 less than Michael Strahan. The impact that he had despite not winning, do you hold that against them? Because they are the number 3 overall defense in football.
I mean, is it a team award or is it a player award? If it's a player award, I mean, who else really showed out this year?
It's a lot of Texans. So Will Anderson, Daniel Hunter. I mean, I just think that Defensive Player of the Year isn't an award that I think of as a winning award. It's not one that you count by wins. So if you're going by someone who broke records this year, Myles Garrett's a clear choice.
Yeah. And also they were saying SVP made a good point about this last night. Watt, he had bigger numbers on plays. He drops into coverage a lot as well.
Sure.
Myles Garrett is just on the line to get in there, but he should be the MVP because look at what Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers did. We had a chance to clinch the division, and we focused more on not getting the record broken against us. That's a game changer.
And Myles Garrett yesterday only had 3 snaps where he was not double or triple teamed, and he got the sack on one of those.
I will say if it is a winning award, if the NFL decides to make it a winning award, my pick would be Patrick Surtain from Denver Broncos. Probably the best corner in the game, and he would probably be the other option, but I think it should be Myles Garrett, even as a Steelers fan.
Yeah, but before we move on to the Kings of the North, one name for you that would probably love having a guy like Myles Garrett, and maybe, I mean, he's been at least mentioned, but Marcus Freeman of Notre Dame. What would you think of him being the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I hadn't contemplated that until you brought it up to me about 45 minutes ago, and I like his demeanor, and I just love that his guys love him. I've heard Notre Dame players last year during that awesome college football playoff run. I know it wasn't his decision to not play in a bowl game this year, but that I don't really love, though,
I don't either.
However, I think that Marcus just has like that demeanor that really will go well in the NFL. He's not a hothead. He's not over the top. He teaches lessons and is a guy that you probably want to play for. So haven't heard a link to the job, of course. Kevin's only been out of work for about 7 hours now. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of names that are going to come up that the Browns would certainly love to have, but do they want to come to Cleveland and
That's the biggest question.
Yes.
and have to have Jimmy and Dee Haslam be their bosses? They are the bosses, though, of one last player that I want to shine the spotlight on before we move on, because the kicker for the Browns, a rookie in Week 1, Andre Schmidt, got absolutely dumped on. Everybody wanted to run him out of town. He misses a field goal in the third quarter. He misses the game-tying extra point. Brown's social media was so gross that they even criticized Shedeur Sanders, who went over to him after he missed the tying field goal and said they wanted him out of town too because it's unacceptable. He went from that to being the best kicker in football since week number 3, fellas. He missed 1 field goal since week 3, 0 extra points, and he got carried out just like Myles Garrett did, like a king, up on people's shoulders, and that was one of the coolest moments that I've ever seen in football. I got crazy goosebumps at the Cavs game watching it because I remember how badly Cleveland fans were pissing all over him after week 1, and then he missed some field goals in week 2 as well, and everyone said it's the same old story. Get this bonehead out of town, and now he's everyone's favorite darling in Cleveland. So way to go, Dre.
Yeah, I was genuinely shocked that they kept him after that game.
That's true.
But the resilience that he showed to keep fighting through that, have a fantastic season. One of the more efficient seasons since there was a guy named Phil that kicked for Cleveland for a long time.
Love you, Phil.
Legend.
Don't like to throw that name around too much because this is a rookie we're still talking about. But I mean, gotta give kudos. Great season for him.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was like 24 of 27 field goals, and then missed 2 extra points all year. That is phenomenal. And he's a rookie. This is his first year. That was his first game when he missed those 2 kicks against the Bengals, and everybody wanted to overlook that and run him out of town. And guess what? Now he might be the most promising. He might be the special teams rookie of the year if they give that award. I have no idea, but I'd give it to him.
Go ahead.
Okay, guys. let me just send it over to Steelers Corner here for more on the AFC North.
Take it away.
Goo. I'm sitting with my wonderful girlfriend last night, Kelly. Shout out. Hi, Kelly. How you doing? Hopefully you're doing well right now. But I told her, I gave her a kiss on the cheek. I said, honey, I'll see you in 3 hours. Even if you just sit by me, I'll see you in 3 hours. Because this is the biggest Steeler game in recent memory. Yeah, we played against the Ravens last year in Baltimore for the division, and then we lost, but we played them in Baltimore again in the playoffs. But that was with some players that we thought, I don't know if we're going to win this. It's been a while since we had this hope coming into this game that we really have a good shot at winning this game. And what happens right off the bat? 4th down and 3, a wide open touchdown, and here we go again. And then a 3 and out, and here we go again. This is the same old Steelers. It's the same old Steelers. They kick the field goal, it's 10-0. We go down, kick a field goal, going down towards the end of the half, and finally we get our offense going. Aaron Rodgers going no huddle, shooing off R.D. Smith and the offensive coordinator, and we're down to the 2-yard line. We get a pass interference with 2 seconds left in the half. We're going to go for it. Mike Tomlin, since I put out a very angry note when they lost to the Bills that the Steelers nearly broke me, I said, fire Tomlin. This needs, unless they change things, we're going to go 9-8. We're going to miss out on the playoffs. We're going to make the playoffs.
I favorited that tweet. It was a good one.
Yeah, we're going to go into the playoffs and lose in the first round. But what did he do after that? He got more. He went for it on 4th down more, things like that. So I like the going for it on 4th down, but they go with the pitch to the outside to Kenneth Gainwell, and he gets eaten up at the half. I think I kicked 3 cardboard boxes from Christmas halfway across the house after that. Really angry. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We're done. Right out of the half, Steelers go right back down and score. take the lead after a TJ Watt interception. It was a deflection from Cam Hayward, who Cam Hayward had one of the greatest games he's had as a Steeler as of late. I mean, he's one of the greats. I mean, you talk about Myles Garrett and players like that, but Cam Hayward is like the anchor of this offense, of this defense. He even played offense with his brother, the tush push. He actually carried his brother into the end zone for the first touchdown for the Steelers. But we had the lead. It was 13-10. And then if you will roll the footage, Mr. Thompson, everything went nuts. We missed the sack, and what does Lamar Jackson do? He looks like the MVP that he was for 2 years. Finds Zay Flowers, the best receiver on the team. Oh, great. This is it. We're done. The Steelers are done. But, hey, I forgot one thing. We have a guy named Aaron Rodgers who hands it off to Mr. Kenneth Gainwell, who won the Super Bowl with Philly and has been very good this year. Gives it the lead again. I'm like, okay, 2 minutes left. 3rd and 1. Get a sack. Or how about we just guard Zay Flowers?
What?
Wide open again. That flag was on us. They take the lead, and this is how the season ends. We're done. But, hey, I forgot. We have Aaron Rodgers once again. And this next play, Calvin Austin III just made a guy slip out of his shoes, take the lead with 54 seconds. We have the best kicker in football. No, we don't. The Boz misses the extra point. We're up 2. We get them the 4th and 7. And what happens? Isaiah Likely, the guy that dropped the pass that could have given them the win against us before, sets them up in the field goal range, and I'm just looking at my TV. I'm on my knees going, this is not going to happen. And it didn't, because he missed the field goal. We're going nuts in the house. I think my neighbors got a little angry at the yelling and things, but somehow, some way, the Pittsburgh Steelers pull out a game that in the last 6 years we do not pull out. And we get DK Metcalf back. We're going to be at home on a Monday night in a playoff game for the first time in 10 years. And it was every single emotion you could get in about a 5-minute time came through
and
right
I just
there.
imagine Justin Tucker with a big cigar, kicked
Right?
back with his feet up going, enjoy it, losers.
Oh, yeah. The fact that we were healthy on defense really helped us out. Cam Hayward played beyond himself. They said before the game that it was 2 hours before the game, and he's out there sitting. He just sat there with his eyes closed for about 20 minutes, and I think Mike Tirico said, that's when I knew he was going to have himself a game, and he changed the complexion of that game. Derrick Henry had 2 runs of 10 yards plus. When last week against the Packers, he went off for, 236 and 3 scores? He went nuts. We were able to contain him. We were able to keep it close enough to where Lamar Jackson had to do things. Aaron Rodgers outrushed Lamar Jackson yesterday. How's that for you?
Yeah. 1 rush, 20 yards for Aaron Rodgers.
He had a big.
Well, kudos
Good
to
looking
him.
average, though.
But it was just everything
so you
seemed
guys
to
are
fall.
we know
We get DK
awesome
Metcalf
game,
back, too.
Last game of the year, fireworks, like we're taking crazy pills with that finish. How much faith do we actually have, given the past here in the first round of the playoffs? What level of confidence? Where are you guys at with the Texans team coming to town?
It's a lot better now that I see Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, especially in that second half, because he even said, I don't have back-to-back bad games. And you saw what he did against the Browns. Nothing. He did not do too well in that first half. In the second half, he looked like MVP Aaron Rodgers, especially in clutch time. And that's what Mike Tomlin said when he said we brought him in for moments like this, and he came through in those moments. So with Aaron Rodgers and with DK Metcalf coming back saying, my bad, guys, I was out for 2 games because of that dumb Lions fan baiting me over. He shouldn't have put his hands on him, but still, he did. Got suspended for two games. He has redemption now. He has another chance this season, so look out for DK. He's going to want to do something. Aaron's probably going to target him early and often against the Texans, and we'll see if we can get that pass game going. It'll open up the run game, and with our defense healthy,
So
I'm saying 75-25.
So here's the
Steelers.
thing. A lot of emotion over there to the right of me. I'm going to be the realist here when we talk about these Houston Texans. They're
good,
really,
though.
really good.
Yes, they
and
are.
Will Anderson is really, really good. Aaron Rodgers threw the football 47 times last week. Anderson's getting him to the ground a couple of times. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
The thing is Houston is such a good team, and they've been surging as of late. And Pittsburgh just hasn't been proven in the postseason. 6 straight losses in the playoffs, and I would be very happy if we won this game, but don't see it. But I mean,
Aaron Rodgers has
anything's
the
possible.
fastest release out of any quarterback
we'll
as
need
well.
to spray,
but
we'll need to spray some more holy water on the field for us to go ahead and get a win over the Texans.
You see it right here. This was the end zone that the field goal was missed as well. Pittsburgh, a big Catholic community. We had a priest out there putting holy water around that end zone, and what happens? This field goal was missed right in that same end zone that the holy water was placed, and it was not even close.
Good snap, good
This
hold.
was 20 years also, almost to the day that Mike Vanderjagt of the Colts missed one in the divisional after Ben Roethlisberger, the Immaculate Redemption, where he had that shoestring tackle on the Bettis fumble. Almost 20 years to the day that happened. So there's some signs to there, but with Aaron Rodgers, things are possible.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Aaron Rodgers, I'd say this is going to be like the last few years. You saw me when we played the Bills here in the playoffs in Buffalo, how frustrating it was with Mason Rudolph not doing anything. It was frustrating last year against the Ravens with our two quarterbacks that really didn't do anything. But now we have a guy in Aaron Rodgers. We have some pieces around him, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Gainwell. If our line can just hold up enough, which we're more healthy now,
and
we'll have a shot. But I can also see Cade Stover. Shout out Cade. I'm glad you're back and healthy. I can see him catching a touchdown and beating us as well.
I don't envy the Texans either in the aspect that they have to play Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, playing
in Pittsburgh,
for his career.
not in a dome, in 30-degree weather too. They're a dome team, so we'll see the atmosphere at Acrisure Stadium, the weather. Who knows?
First off, I don't know if I condone bringing God into the equation to win a football game, but if it works for you guys for this 1 week, we'll let it slide. I will tell you this, though. I know Aaron Rodgers' lifetime against the Texans has owned them. 4-1 overall, and the Steelers are 5-3 lifetime against Houston. But I'm going to pose this to you, boys, okay?
Yes, sir.
Because to really gauge your confidence level, I'm a betting, gambling man, and I really don't like seeing you guys in the playoffs, and I also see that you're consistently pretty much out of there after 1 week. Would either of you be willing to bet this week's pay against the Houston Texans, against your boss man right here?
I would get killed if I put up my pay for a week.
Or you could be partying with double pay.
I will say this. I'll bet you $20.
20?
20? I'll put 20 on it.
20?
20 for the Steelers to win.
You guys are at home, Jonathan.
Good deal.
Let's do it.
Good
Okay.
deal.
All right. Is that clarity and is that closure at least though on AFC North?
Man, you were
picture?
Uh,
hoping for a nice week off of payday.
I kind of was. I gotta say. Both y'all were on vacation last week,
Yeah,
so
like I
I was
did.
like, maybe we can make
right.
this 2 in a row, except for actually have them show up for work. Woo, baby. That sounds pretty good to me. All right, guys, let's go from some happy, smiling fans to maybe some frumpy fans as we move back to the college football playoffs. Talk about Ohio State, who was #1 all year long going into that Big Ten championship game, and then all of a sudden, things just didn't look the same as they was. So we lose to Indiana, and then Miami comes out very hot against the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. Slowly, Ohio State got back into it, had all the momentum, looked like they were going to overtake the Canes, I thought, in that fourth quarter. Just couldn't make the plays when it was necessary. So I'm going to pose this question to you first, Jonathan. Why are the Buckeyes watching the Final Four from home this weekend? Do you feel like the bye had something to do with it? Do you feel like they just ran into 2 better opponents these last 2 games? What is your storyline as to why the Buckeyes are one and done in the CFP?
Well, I think the first story is you got to look at who Miami played before this. They played Texas A&M on the road, and they got a big win there to get them all the confidence they needed
In one of
to
the
go
worst
against
playoff games ever, but hey, they won ugly and they won.
Yeah, they won ugly. They got the win. They move in, play us. They play us with 25 days of rest.
It's a lot.
And that's been a problem here since the 12-team playoff has been established. Only one team has been able to win, and it's Indiana, and I'm going to get to them later. But this Buckeye team, and I mean, when you lose to that Indiana squad in the Big Ten championship game, and then you have to take those 25 days off, that is a tough task. Now, I am not complaining at all. This is not kind of an excuse for a loss. I am just pointing out the fact that if you're Ryan Day, you lose Brian Hartline to South Florida. He stays on your staff, but that dynamic is there, and you have to roll in these guys that you've got on your team after a loss, 25 days after that loss, and get them to play good football. It's really hard to do, and then you saw that in the beginning of the game where Miami jumped out to that 14 nothing lead.
Yeah,
almost 21-0.
Yeah, basically. So the 14-0 lead, and if you make a mistake or if you play a bad 30 minutes of college football, you are not going to win the game. So that was. And the credit to Ohio State also becomes they almost did come back and win that game. There were points in that game where we thought that they could come back and potentially pull it out until Miami got that final first down and ended up scoring to win the game. But it's just a heartbreaking loss. Julian Sayin did not look great. Had that pick six that really changed the dynamic of the game.
And that was a pick six he read like a book. That was right
after
it.
a 60-yard pass, too.
Yes.
So we took all the momentum. And then all of a sudden, it was full blast the other way. And to your point, I ended up watching the game back completely. And it was the first time that Julian Sayin all year, and it wasn't his fault. I put this one on the offensive line. He did not have opportunities to do what he normally does. Well, he'll get those 3 seconds, and he's the most accurate quarterback almost in the history of college football. Dude was phenomenal. Didn't have that same type of time against those Hurricanes. I think a big part of that, and what I saw both in the Indiana game and against Miami, Brian Hartline, maybe a little bit checked out, okay?
Yep. That's
we only averaged 12 points per game the last 2 weeks, whereas before that, one of the best scoring teams in the Big Ten. I feel like the game plan going into both, not good, and then we made second-half adjustments and was the better team in the second half. But to your point, if you play a bad half hour of football, which Ohio State did, pretty much 2 weeks consecutively, even though they were 25 days apart. That's a recipe for disaster, and that's why they're at home.
And Indiana is a team that is impossible to beat if you have a stretch like that.
Yes.
This is a very, very, very good football team. So this is kind of where I want to transition into Indiana a little bit, and the fact that teams are 1-7, having a bye in the 12-team college football playoff. The only team to win is my national championship pick at this point, the Indiana Hoosiers, because if you can win in that fashion against Alabama, with all of the other things that have been thrown at you, you also get those 25. You actually get 26 days off because Ohio State played the New Year's Eve and everybody else played New Year's Day.
Yeah.
But Indiana, it's a team. I watch a lot of college football. I think I'm the resident college football guy here. And just the fact that nobody talked about Indiana all season, yet they deserve every little bit of talk that I'm about to give them right here, because they're 14-0. They're the number 1 seed. They're the Big Ten champions, the best conference in football this year. And here they are finally getting an opportunity to play Oregon again and get another big win, and then potentially win themselves a national championship.
Oregon, a team they beat at Oregon as well. I think, they didn't get the love because they ran the table in a very soft schedule last year. Then they went to Notre Dame in the first round and got ran off the field. And people are thinking, it's
another soft schedule this year.
And they're thinking it's the same old Hoosiers. But then the Big Ten championship comes, and what do? They make plays when they need to. They knock off the number 1 team in the country. And then, that Alabama game, I thought it was going to be at least close. No, they completely manhandled Bama. And now it's back to saying, hey, this Indiana team, Kirk Cignetti, he Google him.
Yeah,
Google him.
Yeah.
He wins, baby. And what I think is actually fun about this college football playoff, and even though I love my Buckeyes, I'm diehard Browns. I live and breathe them. I think that it's kind of fun now, the Final Four teams that we have. And I think that what the portal has done is it's made this very interesting. I don't like the layoff. I think they should get quicker into the college football playoff, and they may make that change and have like the championship be on New Year's instead of the first round or the second round rather. So I think that it does make it fun the way that they have this set up. And ultimately, there were like 6 or 7 teams in this field that I think you would say they got a chance that they could go on to win this whole thing. Obviously, the Buckeyes were in that mix. All the teams that made it into the last round certainly are that. You're picking Indiana to win the whole thing. Do you feel like the Hoosiers are that squad this year?
Yes, after what they did against Ohio State and after what they did against Alabama, now they're going up against an Oregon team that, they had to hold off. It was a close game at Oregon, but I think Coach Cignetti and company, they're going to do it. They're going to win it all. And how about that? Indiana
I would even go as far to say as Indiana-Oregon is going to be the national championship.
I do too. I think too. Miami and Ole Miss is going to be a battle, but I think it's just the two teams that could win the national championship come out of the Big Ten. The Big Ten is going to have a national champion. It's whoever wins this semifinal.
And to circle back, and this can wrap up our college football talk, no Bama, no Georgia, no Clemson. I mean, it's been like that for a while. Clemson's been
No
rough.
Ohio State.
No Ohio State. In the NFL, no Chiefs.
No Ravens.
There's a lot of other names that you could say there, too. But going back to the schedule, I think what it really is going to end up turning into is the bowl games are going to be no more. And if they are still around, they're going to be during the playoff. And I think that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
So if you start just like the NFL, the week after the regular season, you jump
Why not?
right into those college football playoffs. If
Would
they
love
want
to
to
see
win,
Even
if they want to win the national championship, they've got to go through that
Move it
gauntlet.
to 16. Move it to 16. Do it the week after the Army-Navy game. Start there. And then move forward, and then your little bowl games, the Hawaii Bowl, the Music City Bowl, the
Mayo.
Insight.com Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That's great.
Now
That's
I
the
will
best
say-
one. But have them during, and then also open up. I don't like the fact that, Indiana is going to win the Rose Bowl, and then they're going to go and play the Fiesta. You get 2 trophies for one play. I don't get that. Like, at least save some of those big, those bigger bowl games.
I think that's stupid too. I would like
Yes.
those to still be games, but I understand
Yes.
that they're like, but we
For
don't
money,
have the
the
Big
money,
Ten
yes.
champion versus the Pac-12, which
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. But that was kind of the
Make it the semifinal. You get your bowl trophy, and then you play for a national champion. I hate this back-to-back.
Yes.
I mean, Ohio State won the Sugar and the Rose last year.
we did.
Like,
Pretty cool.
those
That
are
was
some
pretty
nice
cool.
trophies. You got about $1.5 million in bling coming back, but I do not get that. I
I
think
will
it's
say
dumb.
the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl merch for Ohio State was cheaper because of all of that. So it definitely was more intriguing for me to go and buy.
Hey, a Duke's Mayo Bowl victory shirt that I have was cheap, but I love
Just
that thing
$5.
too. But hey, one question for you: Cleveland has 2 first-round picks.
Oh, we're going back to Browns. Oh,
No, just for this.
Yeah.
Mr. Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy candidate, would you trade your 2 picks to get the number 1 pick and get him?
not him.
No.
No.
Would you trade any of your picks to get a top pick to get any player? You like being number 6? Because that was the one thing that I was going to say to Browns fans if they kept going at me because they beat the Steelers last week. I was like, well, we won a division still, and all you guys did was lose 5 picks. He dropped from 3rd to 7th. You're up to 6th now. But if you like where you're at, hey, you end the season on a high note, and you still got a top 10 draft pick, and then a second pick, which will be in the high teens.
As someone who watched a lot of college football this year, I wouldn't touch any of the quarterbacks in this draft with a 10-foot pole. I like
That's another good
Mendoza
bowl
as a
right there.
player. I like him as a person too, but I just don't see it at the next level.
Yeah.
And I look forward to pulling back on this clip and just being completely wrong. So
That's the best part of it.
that's it.
We already have a rookie that just won 2 games in a row.
Hey.
Let's give him an
It's
opportunity
a Browns
with a
thing to
full
do.
off season and put some pieces around him. I'd love to see maybe a Carnell Tate. Let's go get a playmaker, but we got to get some offensive line help as well. So use the picks that you've accumulated, putting yourself in this position to go ahead and build a full roster and not just one player who's 22 years old that we're starting all over again.
And you have, 6 picks in the first 4 rounds? 2, 1, 1, 2, I think?
We've got a lot,
Yes.
and it's going to be fun.
And last thing, I'm sorry, this is the last thing I want to talk about with college
And
football.
another thing.
Shout out to Ole Miss's quarterback,
Oh.
Trinidad Chambliss. He
Baller.
is that dude, and if you don't know about him, he played Division II college football last year. He
Ferris
played for
State.
Ferris State.
Yeah.
Natty.
Yeah.
Won a national championship, yeah.
What a game, beating Georgia.
Didn't he play against Ashland a couple years ago?
Yes,
Wrecked 'em.
he
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
They played in the playoffs last
Yeah.
year. That's the only thing I wanted to add. Trinidad Chambliss is that dude, and if
And
Indiana
the last thing that I'm
And
gonna
another
say-
thing.
doesn't win, Ole Miss is my
But in
my
all
favorite.
seriousness, though, the last thing that I honestly do want to say is some of the Ohio State recruits have had to defend themselves online the last several days because they lost, and all this make-believe stuff by reporters, or what does Pat McAfee say?
Sources.
Suggesting that now they're flipping and they're going to Miami in their home state, or we have a 5-star out of Georgia that he just had to put out another tweet today. It was like, guys, I'm going to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I understand they lost 1 football game, but it's all good. David Jacobs, by the way, who I think is the best edge rusher coming in.
I could add more, but I'm done.
So all right,
Let's
move on.
Local.
Okay,
Let's go. It's time for some basketball.
It's time, baby. It is. It is hoop season, and
Full
it's
on
heating
now.
up, man. Because once you hit the holiday break and you flip the calendar over to 2026, it's kind of the mid-season where now you've got the
like
home
speed
stretch
to
now,
Dayton.
where you're playing the second half of the conference games, and then you start getting into the tournament. But before we get there, let's look back on some fond memories of what was, just 5 days ago in 2025. And remember the best and maybe the worst starts to the season. Let's go ladies first. And let's begin with the good, gentlemen. So, Jonathan, what team would you say kind of surprised you, or at least impressed you in 2025?
The team I'm most surprised about on the girls' side is a team that only had 8 players on their entire program last year.
I know where you're
and
going
it's the
with
Willard
this.
Lady Flashes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, they've looked fantastic. Coach Bedingfield was on our first episode of the Joe Show, and we got a great conversation with him, with Joe. I just really like how this team runs, and I'm not sure what their numbers are like now. I'm sure they're up from that 8 team.
They still have 8 players on the varsity
but
roster.
they're all
same
a year
But
older.
they have a JV team. That's the important thing. They
yeah.
did not have a JV team last year, so it's going up slowly. But I mean, they're 8 and I think I saw 8-2.
Yeah,
Brian and I saw them game number 3,
and they destroyed Crestview. This is a good team, and I think the biggest feather in their cap is their best player, skill-wise. Reese Bedingfield, coach's kid. She's coming off of the ACL tear, and she's only playing about half the minutes of the game. So they were steadily going to try to increase those as the season goes along. So if they can make it to the playoffs, and now all of a sudden she's a full-time starter and participant, look out. I think you're right, because they've got a lot of different operating measures within the team that you like. They have 3-point shooters. They have a ball handler. Shout out Lamaya Hicks, the best girl defender that I've seen this year.
How many steals she have against Crestview? 7, 8?
And that's my favorite.
She had quite a bit.
She's my favorite story on the girls' side because she was not even playing in middle school. She didn't play in middle school. She jumped on as they were just desperate for players, trying to get 8 for a rotation last year. So she jumped on, picked up pretty quickly.
2 points per game.
Yeah, and now she's stepped up, and she's one of those stars for this team.
Travis, who's impressed or surprised you so far?
Well, impressed me is one of our newest girls' teams of the OH.Report. That's the Mapleton Lady Mounties. They actually came to us. They're like, we want you to cover us. And now I know why. They're off to another solid start this year. They have multiple scores in double figures, but they're 9-2. Their 9 victories have been 25 points plus. Now, they lost to Norwayne, a team that's probably going to win another district championship and go probably to the Final Four again, maybe. We'll see out of the WCL. And then a New London team. Now, don't be like they lost to New London. New London's really good as well, and those are the 2 teams that are probably going to fight for a Firelands Conference championship. But they have the 2 leading scorers in the Firelands Conference. Audrey Hellickson, Addison Hess, both averaging 14 points a game. Addison's averaging 3 threes a game. She also very good from the free throw line when it matters most, because we've seen some teams that don't do well. They have 2 players over 85% from the charity stripe. They have their top 3 steals leaders in the Firelands Conference: Addison Hess with 4, Kenzie Hellickson with 4, Audrey Hellickson with 4 as well, and then Addison Hess also inside with 2 blocks. It's just all around a solid team that, they made a run in the tournament last year, got knocked out, but they're looking to get back with everybody coming back, and you'll see that tomorrow, Brian. You'll get your first look at them against Crestview, but it's them in New London, and they will host New London on the 3rd of February, which will probably be for either an outright or a shared Firelands Conference championship.
I just think the world's a better place when the Mounties are out doing some crafty things like we've seen so far. And I do appreciate Coach reaching out to us as well.
Coach Hess,
and saying, hey, we're going to be the hottest ticket of town right now in Ashland County. Maybe not, because the Lady Arrows are pretty good, but Mapleton, obviously they've been the real deal so far this season. You know who else is sitting at the top of their conference right now? Kind of the opposite way, though. I'm not sure exactly which direction. I think maybe this way from where I'm standing over in Crawford County.
That way.
How about the Cary Lady Blue Devils, baby? That's right. First place in the Northern 10 Conference after they took care of Colonel Crawford just on Saturday, a game that you could watch live and free. That's right. We're spinning the highlights for you right now. Shaking off back-to-back losses, too. That's what I liked so much about them. 8-game win streak. They've got all this momentum, and everyone's like, Cary might be the team to beat. Scourge! Winford knocks them off by about 20. Okay, we're going to bounce back here. Nope! We lose to Columbus Grove, and it's okay. Oh, shoot. Now we have to go into the biggest game so far of the season at home against Colonel Crawford. And what do? They get it done against the Lady Eagles. And without a star player, looking at their stats, they've got a bunch of girls that average between like 5 and 9.5 points per game, and then a bunch of kids that average a couple of assists, several rebounds. They don't have any one player that you would say, okay, we got to go out there and we got to shut down 12 or 13 or whoever the case may be. And they're doing it all with just one senior Emily Broadman. This is a whole bunch of class of 2027ers out there running the show right now. So the Cary Lady Blue Devils, by far the biggest surprise to me in the area because nobody was talking about them being in contention for the Northern 10 to start the season. Everybody was saying this is Winford and Colonel Crawford, the traditional rivals. They're going to play it out, and they still might, okay? I'm not saying Cary's going to stay in the picture, but for 2025, even though this game was actually from 2026, it was pretty cool to see them get off to this awesome
And it's
start.
in the defense, too. You look at some of the numbers. They gave up just 21 to Hopewell Loudon. They played Arlington, which is typically a good girls squad. They only gave up 32 to them. 30 points against Elmwood, 33 to Mohawk. Just some really good defensive performances from this team. So you don't have that star scorer, but if everybody buys in on the defensive end of the ball, I mean, who's to say that you need one?
Yeah. Give an honorable mention, though, to Winford. Shout out them. 20 seconds into the season, Brooke Frombaugh pretty much lost for the season.
Miss you.
Blows a tire at the barn ball, and it looked like, I don't know what the actual outcome of it might look like. It was an ACL or something, but she has not played since. But Winford atop the rankings as well. They, like you said, they beat Cary. They lost to New London, who I just mentioned, and they lost in overtime to Colonel Crawford. But they're very good as well. It's just going to be interesting to see how far they can go without Brooke Frombaugh. But yeah, Cary, Cary, baby. It's great to see when Cary succeeds, the OH.Report succeeds, right?
And it's such a cool little gym out there, the Devils.
Oh, yeah.
Man. I think arguably the coolest in the Northern 10. Mac Morrison probably is the coolest.
The Haas.
But
Well,
they're not in the end. Yeah, you're jumping
You're looking
ahead of
forward.
your
I
chance.
am.
Come on.
Well,
I'm excited.
pretty nice, too, when they join, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's always it's easy to talk about the kids that we're really surprised to see that they're doing well. What about the kids that feel like, come on, ladies, let's pick it up here in 2026. Travis, you go first. Who do you feel like has more potential than they've shown so far?
I said it to everybody. We're like, it's because they don't have a JV team anymore. Lady Lex. They don't even have a JV team, and they're just off. I saw them against the Clear Fork Lady Colts. They lost 65-22. They're on their fifth coach in 6 years, I think, or 7 years.
Like the old
they're
Browns.
12th and 15.
Like the new
It's just
Browns.
they can't get everything going. And hopefully the new coaching regime does it. But they're 1-10 right now. Their lone win was against Mansfield Senior.
Everyone's beating them, we know.
But losing to Worcester, Ontario, Clyde, Crawford, it's just. It's hard to see. I mean, Jack Sawyer's girlfriend, Gabby Stover, had them looking decent the last couple years, but then she went on to the NFL, which is fine. She's going to watch her brother hopefully lose to Jack Sawyer's Steelers on Monday night. But since that, it's the same thing. Like, that's a good comparison, Brian's saying. They're like the Browns because they just can't get a coach established, and now no JV team. And that if they can't get a JV team back quick, that's just going to hurt your program for years to come. So I'm just disappointed to see that the numbers are so down at Lexington. Might not just be the play, but just that nobody's going out is just it's head scratching for a place like Lexington who has a very storied past.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to jump to the Northern 10 because Upper Sandusky's been in some really, really close games. They're still over this year. They're 0-9. I mean, look at some of these numbers. You're looking at Shelby. They played a pretty decent contest against Shelby, 50-44. They played Cary, not too bad. They lost by 13, but they still looked. I don't think they didn't look awful in that game. And then Colonel Crawford, they lost by 2, and Winford was a 1-point loss. They lost by a possession to Seneca East, so they're in these games. It's just a matter of fact that they weren't able to finish them off in 2025. But a good thing is, new year, new Lady Rams. We'll see if they can turn the tide here in 2026.
And for me, guys, I'm going with a team that I just saw on Saturday and absolutely just impressed my pants off, man. I got to say, these girls came out with so much emotion and love for one another, and they played awesome in a win, and it was their first win of the season. The Danville Lady Blue Devils. How were you 0-9 to start the day when you've got girls like Brooklyn Carter absolutely dominating the lane? And just look at the pleasure and the passion that they are playing with. They love one another, and they have so much more potential than I think they've shown so far in the season. You look at the league leaders within the KMAC, and there's not a ton of outstanding numbers right now in the league. They don't really have anybody on any of the charts, but they can come out against their rival and hit turnaround threes at the buzzer and then hold off the Bulldogs towards the end of the game. I cannot believe that this was a team that was 0-9 and was in dead last, of course, within the conference, the way that they played. I feel like Coach Bree is about to turn this thing around just because of the way that they were able to be unified within that game. Stunned the way that they played, because I was driving down and I was like, I really hope East Knox does not make this a running clock in the first half and it's a boring game, because as commentators, we don't play favorites, but we want to see good games.
Yes, we do.
It was easily the most fun I've had calling a basketball game all year.
It's Devil Dog.
Easily.
It's Devil Dog.
It was awesome. And I know that we say the cliche things. Me and Joe were like, hey, it's the Devil Dog. Throw the records out the window. But when you got a 0 in the win column and we're halfway through the year, man, like that's tough. So I'm a little disappointed that they haven't been able to pull one out before then. But look for them to obviously not be a factor in the KMAC. They played themselves out of it, unfortunately, in 2025. But they can be a big disruptor down the stretch.
Well, taking a look back to when you and I were at Ridgewood talking about Danville football when they played Hillsdale, I went over to the coach's box and talked to a couple of the guys that are kind of overseeing these basketball programs coming out. And I think this is the most excited that they have ever been for both of their programs.
Let's
so
go.
See Danville jump out to that 0-9 rough start, they finally get this win under their belt, and I think they're going to start jumping into the expectations that some of these Danville residents had coming into the season. And I think this segues us well, because on the other side of Danville basketball, there's been a team that has really stepped up to the plate after finishing last in the KMAC last year.
Yes, and this is my favorite story so far.
Segue.
I am no longer KMAC Trav, but I still have a lot of respect for the Danville Blue Devils. I was, after my call of Northmore knocking off Centerburg in their first game, we were watching Jonathan's call of Danville hitting clutch shot after clutch shot against the Mount Gilead squad that people think, hey, they're going to be competing for the top. But no, it was Danville, and that sparked them on a run. They are one loss in the conference. It's a Fredericktown team that everybody thinks has a chance of maybe running the table and winning a conference championship. And then they go up against a Newark Catholic team that a lot of people are saying, at least in the Central District, that's the number 2 and number 3 team in the Central District. And a foul with 1 second left was the only reason why they lost the Newark Catholics. So Danville, and then they had a very impressive victory over the Northmore Golden Knights a couple nights ago as well. So Danville, the boys, the Blue Devils, this may be their year. They might not win the conference, but this may be a chance for them to win a district championship. And just they got some players there. I mean, Parker Proper, heard that name before, 12.5 points per game. Aiden Mickley, 13.5 points per game. Ashton Spalding, 10.4 points. Carson Proper, 7.8 points. Wesley Payne, 7.1. And this is through 8 games. That's a great lineup when you're down in Division 7. If you have 3 scores in double figures and nothing else, you're in a good shape. But you have 3 scores in double figures and then 2 more with all over 7 points per game, you are set up. And I think the Blue Devils are set up. They get Fredericktown in that small court at Danville as well. It's going to be interesting because they're on their home court. It's a lot smaller than at Fredericktown. Can they pull off the upset? I don't know. But hey, Danville is in the conversation, and that's all that matters right now.
Yeah, you go from last place in the KMAC a season ago to basically knocking on the door to potentially jump yourself into conversations for a KMAC title. Do I think they're going to ultimately get there? That's a good question. Of course, they already lost to Fredericktown, but that big home game towards the end of the year is going to be exciting for me to see, of course. I know that I will be there covering that thing for the OH.Report here, of course. But I'm looking at some other teams in the KMAC, and we're going to go through warm takes here momentarily. This is not my official one. It's one that I need to lock in after I watch Northmore tomorrow. I think that we could potentially see 3 district champions out of the KMAC. Because I think Fredericktown has it down. They've had some great wins. Danville, I think, in Division 7, they could have a path realistically as well. And then I don't know about these Northmore Golden Knights. I haven't seen them yet. I will tomorrow, so I'll have an answer for you probably next week on the podcast. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
I like it.
So Travis, the surprise team, the Danville Blue Devils. Are you siding with him and staying in the Blue Devil realm, or do you got a different team?
I do have a different team. So Danville, they know how much I love Danville down there. So I wanted to give some love to the MOAC.
You got a helmet, and you got swag from it and everything.
Oh, yeah. So I got to jump over to the MOAC because I'm going to get to see this team, I think, play for an MOAC title game against River Valley. The Ontario Warriors, I think, out of the 3 of us, was the team that immediately jumped out of the page when we were coming up with some of these coming up with who we thought was the biggest surprise. Yeah, and
they're so young.
I don't think I was surprised. a year ago, January 7th, I posted on my Instagram story. I watched these two, Carday Brown and Trendon Flannery, play against the Willard Flashes on the road. They got a big win, and I just had that little feeling that they were going to start to come up and be a really big force in Richland County. They're already there, folks. They're sophomores.
Yeah.
And I mean, this team, this taking over, they're 11-0. And they've had some great wins. They already beat Shelby in one of their first games of the season, coming off late from that football season.
Didn't have very many other guys. Just point that out.
They did not. But moving on to Ontario, and I like the 20 points per game from Carday Brown, 18 points from Flannery, who I think is one of the best finishers in Richland County at the rim. And then they've got solid rebounding, which is always the big test and the big question that you get to once you get to the playoffs. Do you have the size to keep up with some of the top teams? I think Ontario does. Trey Remy, 6'5", he can rise up to the rim. You're going to see him with a rim grazer right there. And then also Jameer Jones is probably the scrappiest guy on the team. So you've got those role players surrounding your stars. I really like Ontario this year, and I really think that they could roll through the MOAC. Of course, River Valley is knocking on the door, and they're going to be playing later on this week, and that's going to be the biggest game of the year.
They do get them at home. I think that's big for this young team to get to see the defending champions on their home surface for the first time, and this will be a very telling game because you look up and down at the teams that they've beat so far, and I love the win at Ashland. That's big time. They also won on the road at Lexington. Those are two pretty good OCC schools, two of the top three right now within the league standings. Outside of that, not so sure that you're very impressed with anything else that they've done. This will be the biggest win if they're able to beat River Valley because it's the conference game, and again, it's the defending champions right now that made that run all the way to regional. So the game coming up on Friday night, we'll have a great highlight of that one for you. That will be the telling sign to me if they're going to go on to win the league. Because if they are a little bit shaky maybe against River Valley, I think psychologically it might be the Vikings that will go on to win the league. My best boys team is not a surprise because we all knew that this team was going to be really good going to the state Final Four for the first time ever last year, but it's the way that they've handled their business. I'm going with Colonel Crawford, gentlemen, because they easily have the best win so far of any team in our area, and that was knocking off undefeated state number 3 in Division 5, Margaretta, and this dude is the best player in the area. Bar none. If we take Julian Washington out of the equation, you tell me who you're taking over Payne DeGray, because this dude right now in the Northern 10, he's leading them in points per game. He's third in rebounding. He's almost a double-double machine right now. And oh, by the way, they have the Northern 10 Player of the Year that's become more of a facilitator, setting up shooters and stuff right now, but can go get grimy baskets when he needs to at the end of the game. Oh, like this one right here, Braden Holt, left-hand finish through contact. This is probably the best team that we have in North Central Ohio, and the fact that they get the late start, most of their premier players are on the football team, and they had to kind of learn on the fly. There's their quarterback knocking down the biggest shot of that game. That was huge. I don't think if Peyton Baker makes that shot that they go on to win that game. They've got several guys that have that moxie, that swagger. Yes. So what they did last year, complemented with what they just accomplished in football, I could see this team going 22-0 and going in as the number 1 team in the state in Division 6. And would I be surprised at all if David Sheldon figures out a way for them to go 28-0 and have a brand new banner that they've never seen before in North Robinson? Nope. They're awesome.
Yep, they jumped up a spot to from number 3 to number 2 in Division 6, so they're already climbing there. And I mean, the big presence that they have, I just talked about it with Ontario. If you've got the size to keep up with some of the teams, you're going as far as you possibly can. And I think with Payne DeGray, you've got that.
And a quick stat from Payne DeGray that I just got texted to me. 87% from the field so far.
Is that good?
What?
I mean,
that doesn't even seem possible.
Right? That's nuts. I mean,
that's like kickers numbers.
Every time you say Payne DeGray in basketball, I'm reminded of the dunk to send them to the Final Four. That's it. Just when it comes down to clutch time, he's the guy that you want to have because he will go out and get you the big buckets. And you knew this after last year, after falling in the Final Four, that they're going to be right back there. And maybe this would be the chance for them to play at UD Arena for the first time in Coach Sheldon's career as well, and for the first time ever in Colonel Crawford history. But they are rolling right now.
You know who's not rolling, guys? Let me tell you something. Coming into this year, I had some really high hopes in the MOAC, and I don't think most, outside of Jonathan, I guess, thought that the Warriors were going to be this type of juggernaut. We thought River Valley would be very good. We thought Shelby would be pretty good, and we thought Ontario would be pretty good. I was one of those that said, you know who might be able to contend? How about the Clear Fork Colts? Under their second-year head coach, Brandon Baumgartner, they're going to figure it out. Growing pains last year, but they won such a gutsy playoff game against Ontario at the arena, right? Big A. Hey, whatever it was, it ended up being a win for them. And what are they doing? They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, and they've just been plagued. You look at the turnover numbers that these guys are putting up. They're struggling scoring night in, night out, regardless of who their opponent is. They had a game against Marion Harding at home where they scored 29 points in 32 minutes. They had another game against Lexington where they scored 33 points in 32 minutes. So for me, with the guys that they had on the team, the length, the shooters, I really thought the Clear Fork was going to come out and that they were going to be way above 500. I put them at maybe a couple of losses at this point in the season. They're 2-7. I really thought that would be flip-flopped or somewhere close. So it's the team that I am most surprised to be looking right now at the MOAC standings. And who's in last place, guys? Clear Fork.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this go wrong?
They had a 6-point loss to Ontario to open up MOAC play.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked. I called that game. They looked pretty good. I really liked where they were in that opener when they played against Ontario. And then since then, they got the win against Madison immediately after, so they took that into the next game. But then that dud you talked about with Marion Harding, 29 points, and that seemed to set the tone for what turned into basically 5 of their last 6 being losses.
The only wins against Highland. That's it, other than the Madison game.
That's crazy. Something that, I mean, some people would say, this was what we expected, but it's not what I expected. The Upper Sandusky Rams, the boys, only 2 victories on the season so far. They have, I believe, 8 upperclassmen on the team.
Yeah.
They have 3 scores in double figures, but they're getting out-rebounded by 10. You see Upper Sandusky, you think the inside game has been Upper Sandusky basketball. Not this year. They're getting out-rebounded 34-24 each game. Josh Heilman, as you expected, he's averaging 13.2 points per game. You got Matt Schoenberger, also 11.8. Luke Schoenberger with 8. But then after that, nobody over 5 points per game. You thought they'd at least some of these guys coming up from JV would contribute a little bit more. They just haven't yet, and they're 3-6 so far. They are 3-2 in the Northern 10. Got a big win over Mohawk to snap a 2-game skid. But it's kind of head-scratching for me right now how Upper Sandusky, they played some close games. They just haven't finished as well. But if they just have one more good score, they're probably, I'd say, 6-3 instead of 3-6. And they're looking like it's another Winslow team that's going to turn some heads as the season goes on. They still have a lot of time to straighten things out, but just the start, it's a bit of a head-scratcher for me.
And actually, to me, when I think Upper Sandusky with Jeff Winslow, I think about filling lanes and running and getting up and down the floor. They kind of have a roster for that this year. Howman's their only true, big guy. Everyone else is, my size on the team. So that's probably why they're getting out-rebounded.
Yes.
Looking at these guys, they're all about 6 foot, 6'1". That can be a bit of an issue sometimes if you don't have the physicality down in the paint. So that is kind of perplexing. They're only at 3 wins right now, huh? I haven't got a chance to go to the mountaintop yet this year. That's kind of been Joshua Banks' domain.
They're 3-2 in conference, but they beat Buckeye Central, Winford, and Mohawk. They lost by 6 points to Seneca East, who's doing very well in the conference. They didn't play Crawford. They were supposed to early on, but because of the football run, they'll play them late. But still sitting at 3-2. Mm-hmm. Still, but 3-6 is just a bit of head scratching. But I know Coach Winslow is going to get his team going again. It's just the start wasn't what I was expecting.
And who are you a disappointed uncle of right now, Jonathan?
I'm gonna go dad mode on East Knox right now. So we're gonna jump over to the KMAC again, and I was really happy for East Knox because I got to see some great wins from them. They played Loudonville. They had a big 60-22 win over the Redbirds, and then the very next game I was at with Cray Faldy, they played Granville Christian. They had a nice win, so they turned it into a winning streak.
Yeah.
Since then, 5 straight losses. They had a Northmore overtime loss that turned the tide. They lost by 1 to Centerburg. I mean, I'm looking at some of these scores. They're close. It's very similar to what we're seeing out of Upper Sandusky and the girls that I talked about before. But with some of the names that they added to this group, I just thought that they'd be a little bit higher up. And they've got an opportunity to jump back. They've got Mount Gilead coming up. That would be a big win. They've got Danville in the Devil Dog game that I'll be calling this Friday. And then Loudonville again. So you go back to the rotation. But I'm thinking of guys like Kyson Miller, who's a great shooter. He must have gone cold here in the last couple of weeks because whenever he is shooting well, East Knox, they typically feed off of that offensively. Jackson Crawford, he's been great, a great addition for them, a team that loves to shoot the ball. He's a slasher, loves to drive in and just kind of spread out the floor. And then Peyton Hall is the leading scorer for this group at 13 points per game. But it's just not clicking right now. And I think that the interior presence, they're still trying to find that big fella that's really going to help them out in the starting five to not get out-rebounded as much. I believe they're last in the league in rebounding, or unless they could be seventh because Loudonville hasn't submitted any stats. Come on, Loudonville.
Just doing it for football, too. It's crazy. But anyway.
But yeah, I just think East Knox, they could be playing a little bit better right now, and I think they're going to appreciate me just kind of shedding light on this and just want to get them rolling again. I think the KMAC is better when East Knox is putting up some good quality performances.
As always.
Especially at that gym, baby. Who doesn't like going to the dog pound, man? Getting a lit atmosphere in there. The good news is, though, fellas, there's still more than half the runway to go right now in the regular season. So just because we're disappointed in you right now, it's just like, I'm the only father up here on stage, but I'll tell you this. It's like when your kid does something, you tell them to clean up a mess, you get home and they didn't do it, and you're just like, I can't believe it. I'm taking away your Nintendo Switch for the week. And then all of a sudden, there's like 3 weeks in a row. Well, they're doing it. Yes, please. No, ma'am. All that good stuff. And then you're like, hey, we're really turning it. Here's your Game Boy back. Enjoy your time again, and congratulations on getting. My kids have Xbox.
You went back about 30 years.
Going on this
like
Nintendo
that,
road. But yeah, there's still a bright future, I think, ahead here in 2026 for all of those teams. But I hear that we're not going hot takes. Not sizzling us, but we're going with some medium, maybe like dip our toe into the deep end right now of the hot tub. So, Travis, what do you got to say?
What do you want to start, girls or boys? I'll give you both, but what do you want me to start with?
Yeah, go back to back.
Okay, we'll start with the girls and the Clear Fork Lady Colts, who broke a state record. Yeah. Shout out to Scott Sellers' team. 10 threes in a quarter. To break the state record, which was 9. But they or 11. Yeah. I saw on the Clear Fork post it said 10.
Okay.
So I'll go by Jess Brokaw. Numbers. Very reliable, but we'll see 10 or 11 though. It's still a state record. But on the 12th, 7 days from now, they go to Bellevue, who Max Preps has as the number 2 overall team in the state champs from a year ago. Right. Clear Fork's going to go into Bellevue and knock them off.
Oh, you hear that, Santoro? They come in.
It's warm because Clear Fork's a very good team. And you talked about Willard being good, but they're in the same district as Clear Fork, and I think Clear Fork's still the favorites to win that district. But I think the Lady Colts go to Bellevue because they knocked off Bellevue a year ago.
Did?
Or, that was Shelby that hit the corner 3 to beat them at home. But, they beat Bellevue at home last year, and Bellevue went on the state championship. I think they have that same spunk going up to Bellevue. They knocked them off to get their signature victory of the year.
Okay, I lied. Let's move on and get your warm take with the ladies.
So just girls?
Yeah.
Just ladies.
If you look at the KMAC standings right now.
I'm going to do it.
It's
pulling it up.
Mess. You got 5-2, 5-2, 4-2, 4-2, 3-4, 2-3, 2-5, 1-6. I think we are going to have a solo KMAC champion.
Really?
With 4 losses.
Really?
Whoa.
Well, we got a matchup of 1 and 2 that'll be on Wednesday night.
Yep.
Northmore Centerburg. But after that, so you think Loudonville, Centerburg, Fredericktown, Northmore are going to keep knocking each other off?
Everyone's going to get upset at least once is what you're saying.
That's the impression that I have because we've had some really good upsets already so far this year. I just feel like that 1 through 6 range, when you're looking all the way from Northmore, Centerburg, Fredericktown, Loudonville, East Knox, Mount Gilead, any given day, any of those teams are going to win.
The way Brian's talking, maybe Danville's that team that gives them that extra loss.
Yep.
I think they are coming. Get them, Coach Bree. Come on. Keep these Blue Devils rolling, man.
One of the wackiest finishes to a season that we're going to see in the KMAC. And
how many district champions you get out of the girls' side? Any?
I don't know. It's
got to get one.
I feel like Centerburg could pull something out.
Central
maybe
District
one.
might be
They've
tough.
been a couple times. What about Taylor Tackett's Lady Knights? They're 8-2, 5-2 in the conference. I don't know. Brian,
I got nothing. I'm relying on you guys for these hot takes here. But I'll say I think that Jonathan's that's a pretty crispy take right there. 4 losses for each of the teams. I can't envision that. Matter of fact, I see at least one of the teams getting it together, winning big games. And I will predict a 2-loss champion within the KMAC, even though that's your domain. But since I saw one KMAC girls game over the last 2 years,
if that's the case.
Like an aficionado.
So you're saying the Northmore Centerburg game on Wednesdays could be the de facto championship.
winner
Because
of
one
that
team
one-
could run it.
But they play each other again.
No.
No, this is round
Centerburg
2
knocked
already.
off Northmore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Ooh-wee. All right, what about for the fellas, man? What's happening there?
This is one that you guys are like, really? I'm like, yes, really. Because Shelby Whippets and one Braden DeVito who dropped 30
He's back.
in his last.
So
He's back.
They're different. I was just saying earlier, like when Ontario beat Shelby and stuff.
No, yeah.
Like, dude, they had like 4 guys out or whatever.
I mean,
okay.
Landon Foltz averaging close to 20 points a game as well.
Yep.
But the Whippets, they will be in contention for a conference championship heading into the final week of the season. Now, that may be a game back, or they may be facing one of the leaders 2 games back with a chance. But I think Shelby's going to be in the mix the rest of the way. They sit 2 games back right now behind River Valley and Ontario, but they still got to play River Valley. They still have to play Ontario again, and Ontario plays River Valley. So I'm saying that the Shelby Whippets are going to be in contention, because you usually see this with these football teams that make big runs that have basketball players. Once they get into it, they make a run. And I think the Shelby Whippets may be that sneaky team that gets hot late, especially now, like we said, Braden DeVito dropping 30 in his game back. I think that's that spark, and I think the Whippets are going to make this a race in the MOAC.
They got the second longest win streak going right now in the league. Of course, Ontario 11-0 speaks, but 3 straight wins over Highland, Pleasant, and Lexington. So they got some momentum going, and you could see them beating Upper Harding, and then they run into a great battle at Willard, who right now is 9-1. The boys are with a really young team. That's going to be an exceptional game coming up at the end of the week.
My take kind of counters yours
Yes,
because
it
it
does.
is in the MOAC, but there's also 2 other conferences involved. I think in our area we're going to have 3 champions that all go 14-0. So I think it's going to be in the MOAC. I think Ontario pulls it out. I think in the N10, Colonel Crawford will go 14-0.
Okay,
I
see
think
that.
if there's any locks, or if I had to pick a lock, I would probably pick Crawford to go 14-0 in the N10.
David
but
Sheldon
I think
hates
right
hearing that
next
right
to
now.
them for another lock would be
It's rat poison.
yeah. I think another lock would be Fredericktown in the KMAC.
Yeah.
I think they are really, really good this year. And I kind of had that impression coming into the year that they could go 14-0 on the season. They've got some great scorers. They've got the leading scorer in the KMAC and Carson Reinhart, who I also bought stock in his freshman year when I saw him play over at the Dog Pound a couple years ago. He has been a very good investment. Gavin Toombs has been around ever since that point when he was starring for them, even at that point when I saw Carson for the first time. He's at 18 points per game, just under 6 rebounds a game. So that 1-2 punch is great. Talking about Payne DeGrand is 87% from the field. How about Blake Sipes, 61% from the field? So that's pretty good numbers from him. And I'm looking at the schedule from Fredericktown, and I really like them to go 14-0. They may slip up a couple of times in non-conference play, but I think in the league they're going to hone it in and get a conference championship there too. And then back to Ontario quickly with what they can do. I think also they will not go obviously 22-0, but they do have some tough non-conference games. They play a tough Steubenville squad that's playing really well right now, and then they also play Willard at the end of the season. So I think those could be some slip-ups. But in league play, I feel confident about the Warriors pulling out the MOAC.
I think River Valley and Shelby at least beat them once.
Take one.
Yeah, so
That'll
I
be,
don't know.
since we're talking MOAC, I'll have a medium take here, and I will pick River Valley to go on to win the league. I cannot see Ontario beating them 2 times. I certainly can't see Shelby beating them 2 times. Have you seen this beast that they have developed in Carter Myers? Do you know what Chase Smith does from the outside? And then also Eli Snyder running the point. I haven't got to see him in person yet, but you look at the teams that they've played to get themselves prepared right now.
Those
They've
losses
got like 5
are not
losses.
terrible
Yeah.
losses, but it's the D1, D2,
Terrible
D3
losses.
teams.
They're a bunch of really
Yes.
good Columbus area schools, so they're getting prepared. That way, when they go see these MOAC teams, it's like, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I think River Valley. I don't know if they run through the league, but I could predict them.
Okay.
My medium soft take is that they end up.
They need to
beating
be
out
battle
Shelby and
tested for
Warriors.
when they face Maysville again in a regional.
Looking forward to it, man. It's going to be really fun
We're gonna be
to
busy.
see how it all plays out.
Starting now.
But wherever they play at, which is pretty close to here, where are they actually, okay? And I don't want to spend very much time on this. And how this all came about is I just got asked, after Christmas vacation, how was your trip to the Midwest? And it's like, fool, I'm in the Midwest. No, you're not. You went to the Midwest in Colorado. Well, let's map it out. So we pulled up Reddit, and this is what they say. Okay, so Ohio technically is in the Midwest, but we are right on the outs. We are the last state, and there's actually, it kind of carves around us. Very strange how they determine how this all works, but they say like everything kind of like underneath us, and then to the west is all the west.
I love the visuals.
And then we're out here all by ourselves, okay? And then you go to the West Coast, and where the Midwest cuts off, Colorado's right here, and there are states that kind of buckle around them too. So the two places where I'm from, they have a bit of an identity crisis. So, Jonathan, do you agree that I'm currently standing in the Midwest?
Ohio does not have an identity crisis because we kind of have a main character syndrome that we think that we're the main characters, and because I see a lot of things talking about Ohio against the world. Ohio is Ohio this, Ohio that.
Sure.
I just feel like a lot of people look at Ohio and they're just like, I don't see it. I don't get it.
We're kind of like Texas, where we think we're our own main character type of thing.
Yeah.
Can I add another
Makes
name
sense.
into this? We're also in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Oh, God. See, that's where now things get confusing. And then I asked Travis, too, because, of course, he's to our neighbor over on the east side.
What's that place?
But you don't ever really hear about them being in the Atlantic because they're in the Appalachia?
Appalachia.
Huh?
It's a different. It's the Appalachian Mountains go through Pennsylvania, West Virginia. There's the name for the day, folks. North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina. Yeah, the streak is like what, 500 shows in a row
undefeated.
every show. But anyway, but you say it's Appalachia. You could say it's the Mid-Atlantic region. You can say it's the Ohio Valley. It's just a lot. You just.
But
you
Ohio
can say everything.
isn't in the Ohio Valley. And
The-
that's
I
the
know.
main character energy
That's
I'm talking
the
about.
eastern border is the Ohio Valley because that's where I'm from, Martins Ferry,
But not the whole
Belair,
state.
but not the whole state.
Yeah.
Parts of it. It's like it's crazy. All these names you could have. Just say you're from Ohio. Okay. See the lakes right south of that. There
Now,
you
is
go.
Pennsylvania and Appalachia, or is it
The
northeast?
southern part of Appalachia goes through like the middle part, the
You're losing your
Poconos
hair.
and all that stuff. It's just too many things. Too many things. But
It's
yes.
really a lot to digest when you start looking
Are
at
we
a
in north
globe.
central Ohio? Are we in northern Ohio? Are we in northeastern Ohio? Where are we right now?
This is
That's-
north central.
North
Yeah,
central?
This
You
is
say
North
for sure
Central.
North
I think
Central?
That's
I think
undisputed.
if we know anything for sure, we are in North Central Ohio.
Yeah. We're kind of towards the bottom of north central Ohio, but we indeed are in
Yes.
north central Ohio.
So we're not in central, we're in north central.
north central.
So
Where
we're
does
gonna-
north central end? Like, is Hillsdale part of north central Ohio? Is Upper Sandusky part of north central Ohio? Or is it closer?
Upper Sandusky's outside. I would consider them northwest Ohio.
Okay.
Okay.
But Hillsdale is in north central.
But Hillsdale is the northeast district, and we're in the northwest
Once you
district.
get past Wayne County,
Yeah.
you're in northeast Ohio, okay?
Yeah.
That's where
how
we
about we
start
go
to
back
cut
to
it off.
Northeast Ohio and let's just
You go
ignore
just
this
south of Gallion,
conversation.
you're in the central district. But you go over to Clear Fork, but you're still in the northwest district. Don't even get me with the maps
So when you
of
started
the
this company,
OHSAA.
did you ever consider the NCOH report?
No,
as the name?
I remember having this conversation with him. I said, why OH report? He's like, I am looking to go throughout the whole state of Ohio. I'm like, oh, okay.
We were thinking bigger, Jonathan. Bolder. We wanted to be from here all the way to the Ohio Valley, which is technically not Ohio. You know what I'm saying? Me either.
No.
Okay. Well, that kind of is a good segue into our New Year's resolutions here, folks, because I started mine where after Christmas, my family wanted to go to Aspen, a little place where, the women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. You know what I'm saying? That type of place. And it's a great atmosphere. And we decided that we kind of wanted to fit in with the locals. I went to a bookstore, Jonathan, okay?
Was it in a powder blue suit with a cane
It
and
should've
top
been.
hat?
Didn't
No.
quite look that fancy, but
Orange?
felt pretty cool. And I purchased the book that day. And I sat down and I read 3 pages. And I thought to myself, that's the most reading I've done in a really long time.
This is
That's quite
exhilarating.
gross. So what I said to myself is I normally give me 1 hour. My bedtime typically is 1 a.m. I usually cut off work at about midnight, and then I'll watch TV for 1 hour. And I said it might be a healthier, better habit here in 2026 if I spend at least half of that hour instead reading books. So I bought this book here called Billy the Kid, A Short, Violent Life. And why it was a good segue from talking about all these regions and stuff, the Wild West, they were still trying to figure that out. They were literally fighting over territories
Yes.
and trying to figure it out. So
Duels
how we
were
have it
legal.
now, where we at least know the cities and the counties and stuff, I don't really know how they come up with those imaginary lines. We kind of just went over that, but they're there and we accept them. And I'm accepting that this year I'm going to be a book reader. So I'm going to hold myself to this, and it's going to be a very, very tough task, but I'm going to try to read 50 books in 2026.
Wow.
I'm 1/3 of the way through this book, and I'm already 5 days in. I am behind schedule. So I got to get off this podcast pretty quick, fellas. I got to get home in front of the fireplace. I got to sit down with no distractions. I got to kick my cats out because if little Meowie's in there, she's going to be jumping all over my hair and then off the curtains. I'm going to have to get up and go meow and kick her out. And I can't do that. I got to get focused tonight. And Jonathan, I hear you might be doing the same thing.
I am doing the same thing. So I'm also, one of my resolutions is to start reading more because I've had some friends jump around me and just take in wise counsel and say, Jonathan, you're going to get better on the mic if you get better with your vocabulary and if you get better reading books and just kind of getting yourself familiar with some language. So I'm going to take that advice, start reading some more books. And I don't think 50 is a realistic number for myself, but I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go 20. I think 20 books. If I can knock out 20 in 2026, I think that'll be a pretty good number for me.
2 a month.
Yeah, 2 a month. I think I can knock that out. And then also my other New Year's resolution is to get more involved in social media. So something that I'm going to be trying to do
here coming up.
is to post some like short reels, maybe potentially, and just kind of getting some more of our content out there, not just on the OH.Report, but also in my personal brand as well. So that's something that I'm excited for.
So throw out your handles. Where can people find you?
Absolutely. jdlangdon.oh on Instagram, jdlangdon.oh. And I think that's the main place I'm starting at right now.
So you want to be
Twitter.
an influencer?
I hate Twitter. It's a cesspool. I'm not going to Twitter.
So you want to be an influencer?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue for me for social media because this is for I think what everybody should have for a resolution for this year because we did have some controversy. Not only for a highlight that we did, but it was a big game that was covered by many well-respected people that I respect in the game, media game, and in fans and everything else. But there was a moment where some things happened. I'm not bringing it up once again, but there were people also on a call that went crazy over it, should not have. But this, with social media now, it shouldn't be this way. And what I mean is it's a high school game, and people are treating these players like they're college players, like they're NFL players, like they're getting paid. These are 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids where in the moment sometimes get heated. Brian, when we were that age, this moment happened, but we were better. We got better. We learned from it. It was fine. You shook the other person's hand afterwards, which happened, and that was it. But now in the day of social media, where people see this as an opportunity to, hey, I can get more content out of this. I can get more likes. I can get more people having conversations through this. So I'm just going to post this clip and say, what do you think? It's not the right way to go because, again, these are 16, 17, and 18-year-old people. Both sides of the ball. You saw what happened there, and then you saw afterwards the reaction from another player. That's human. They're human. Afterwards, punishment got handed down. It's over with. But because it's in social media, because you have these keyboard warriors that are twice our age out there saying, oh, well, this should be done and this should be done. You have people from other states that don't even know what's going on posting out there. It's just toxic. And some of these this player is getting tagged on social media for all these videos. It's just not right. It's high school. It's high school kids. It got taken care of after the game. If it wasn't for these clips being shown, it'd be an afterthought, like when we played. And I just think people should focus on the good and not the bad. And that's what we should do.
Yeah. And it's very important also that we realize that there are ways that we cover professional athletes.
Yes.
And there should in no way be equal to how we treat high school athletes.
These are high school athletes where they're, like I said, 16, 17, 18 years old. They hopefully learn from their mistakes. It wasn't like these players do this game in and game out. They're thugs, right? They're not. These are really good kids. And they just had one lapse in judgment, and that happens to the best of us. And it's, like I said, since been fixed. I've heard from good source, Sizz, but that even in the handshake line afterwards, my bad, I'm sorry, it got taken care of. After the game, it got taken care of. Let's just drop it and stop acting like, we're the judge, jury, and executioner, because we're not. we should focus on more better things like what you witnessed at the Cavs game. And Adam Thompson, if you could play this clip from the Cavs game, this is what should be shown more.
Jason Singleton from half court, $10,000 richer. What a cool moment. I didn't know it was him. Obviously, they don't say your name before you go up there and shoot, and then they put him on the Jumbotron. I'm like, that's our guy from Columbus Academy. We've been covering a few times over the last couple of years. Just saw him at the Hoopla, had an outstanding performance, and there he is now learning about taxes, I'm sure, where he took that 10 grand and walked home with about half in his pocket. But what a cool moment for him. And to piggyback off of what you said momentarily, we have opportunities, not frequently, but where we have video evidence of things. And as the CEO and president of this company, we will never, ever, ever do what people just did to that clip last week and cut it out and post it for clicks and likes. I don't care about any of that. It doesn't matter. We're there for the events and to prioritize making sure that the athletes are feeling as though they are in the spotlight and not in a negative manner. Because to your point as well, there's a couple video clips of me out there from JV basketball that I'm not proud of, where I got suspended for some games doing some dumb things.
But you learn from it, right?
You learn from it, and it's what happens after the fact that we should all value. If you see the same kid, and now it's a consistent pattern, now it's a bit more of a talking point.
But that's not the case.
We don't defend quite like we are right now, where one kid, one mistake that was admitted right after the fact, and everybody sort of was like, it wasn't that big a deal, except for those out there on Twitter and Facebook and wherever that wanted to make a big deal. I don't read comments for a reason, and this is one of those where my wife just told me, she was like, it's kind of ugly what they're saying about this kid. And it's like, I'm not going to go delete the comments.
No.
But shame on anybody that would say that
some
kid should lose his career, or that we should focus on that instead of the game. No. Let's focus on the two undefeated teams that just played an unbelievable game.
Absolutely.
That was the story.
Yes.
I didn't notice in real time.
No.
The referees didn't notice in real time. That's how innocuous this moment was. It was not that big of a deal. The game was the big deal.
Yes.
And that's where we'll always keep it.
And that's what I'm saying. That highlight of the half-court shot might not, if it was shown on our air or somewhere else where the other clip was shown, that clip of the bad is going to get way more likes and comments than the good, and that is not right. It should be the direct opposite. And that's why I'm saying with our resolution, everybody, just let's look at the good. Bad things will happen. Hopefully people will learn from their mistakes, but look at the good. Everybody will be in a better mood if we do that in 2026. And rant. But go ahead, John.
And to put a bow on this conversation, I just simply think that I just asked the question, why are we here? And I think the simple answer is because we have experienced what these kids are experiencing now, in what is basically the best 4 years of their lives, getting to play the sports that they love, and that they get the opportunity to go out there every day with their best friends and go play a sport that they really truly enjoy. And all we want to do is just highlight that and make it that much more special for them, that they can go back, find everything here on the OH.Report, and just relive those days as far into the future as they possibly want. So if you don't know why we do this, that's why. We just want to make the experience far more enjoyable for everyone that is in that moment, in that time.
And I'm not saying I condone what happened doing those things, but like I said, I hope they learned. If the referees would have saw it both during the play and then what happened after it, probably technicals at least. I don't say kids should just go out and do that and we're going to say it's okay. But I'm just saying that hopefully, you learned from it. Let's just shake it off and we're good with it. That's it.
That's it, baby. Well, guys, that's going to put a bow on tonight's episode, but when we come back next week, maybe, just maybe, you guys will have some new greenbacks in hand.
Well,
we'll find out.
Kickoff will be towards the end of the show next week. So, yeah.
Oh, you guys have the Monday night?
Yeah, I might not be here next week. I'm just saying that right now. But what was it?
Are you trying to get ticks?
No. I'm doing the same thing I did this week. sitting on a
staying
couch,
away.
maybe sitting
Kicking
somewhere
the
with my
girlfriend to the
terrible
curb.
towel. She sat next to me.
Okay, very
cracked
good.
up at
Very
everything
good.
that I did, and that is what you should have worn, Brian, to Aspen right
Well,
there.
unfortunately, if I would have walked into one of the stores and I would have saw that suit, they would have outpriced me. I'll tell one last quick story before we leave. We go into just the second shop in Aspen, and Jory was like, if I see a fur coat that I really like, would you consider getting it for me? No problem, babe. She goes and she looks at the first one, and she turns around and she said, they want $4,500 for this. And I was like, babe, I think it's going to be a little bit out of the budget. So we turn and, we're walking away, and she's looking at something. Some lady that's in a much nicer outfit than I am comes over and grabs it and goes, Mother, they just thought $4,500 was expensive. I'm not even joking. It was like a movie scene behind our back. And I was just like, that's why I live in the Midwest or Ohio Valley or
Mid-Atlantic.
somewhere in the universe.
Nice full circle moment there.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here on the Monday. So glad to be back here on the microphone, and a lot to cover here today. I mean, a full hour and a half worth of fun.
And we were
things.
worried about content. Well, we got that. We got this covered.
First one back in a
Put
while.
the three
First
of us
one
in
of
a
the
room
year,
together. We can go on for longer.
Right.
Yeah, but I got dinner on the table, and I got books to read.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the first of 50 nifty books that I'm
There you
going to
go.
read,
There
and
you
I'm
go.
told that there's a movie to go along with this that I'm getting pressured into maybe seeing, but it's going to have to come after the book.
Absolutely.
I got to
You
learn
can't
about
watch
Billy
it
the
before.
Kid. This is pretty good stuff. So we'll see. If mine and Jonathan's vocabulary start going to the next level, maybe someone else will join us.
I'll just watch more Gus Johnson and Mike Tirico and go that way. But hey, have
y'all.
fun though.
See ya.